not only the Gen Zs, but the people of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, allow me to start by condoling with the families of the 41 who lost their lives, Honorable Speaker. As it has been said by my colleagues and those who want to retaliate, it had not have to end this way. It does not have to cost the lives of people so that voices can be heard. We need not to take it literally. When many people say that the tree of freedom is watered by blood, we do not have to take it literally. That people have to die, people have to go to hospitals so that some of the issues that they are raising are heard, Honorable Speaker. So I ask for quick recovery for those in hospital, and as a House and as Parliament, would want to say that we have heard your voices. Honorable Speaker, many people, and I have heard even some of my colleagues here saying that, you know, when we were Gen Zs, this is what we used to do. It is fair to set records straight. Gen Z is a generation. You, Honorable Speaker, have never been a Gen Z and shall never be, because you are not in that particular bracket of a generation. You have to have been born between a certain time, Honorable Speaker, for you to be a Gen Z, Honorable Speaker. So it is the Gen Zs and the people of Kenya who actually have raised very pertinent issues that we must listen to. One of the issues that we have that has come out very, very clearly for the last 2 weeks in the conversation that we have in the country, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of corruption. Honorable Speaker. And when we speak about corruption, it is something that must prick our conscience. I am deeply, deeply, deeply disappointed. But the body that has been charged with corruption, the EACC, is now throwing words to this Honorable House, Honorable Speaker. And in my opinion, Honorable Speaker, the weak link in our fight against corruption is the EACC. Honorable Speaker, if there is a body that I would call vestigial, it is there but of no known utility, Honorable Speaker, it will be the EACC, Honorable Speaker. This House, this particular House, Honorable Speaker, has taken a specific number of 146 files to the EACC. Nothing has been done by the EACC that they can come and show us as a report from Honorable Speaker. If Honorable Speaker, EACC wants to throw barbs at this House has an impeccable record. This House has successfully impeached 5 governors. Can we be shown by the EACC one elected leader that I have ever prosecuted and that person is having jail, Honorable Speaker? Can we be shown just one person, not 2 people? At least this House has a record. We have impeached. Some have been returned by courts. It's okay. But we have a record. We have prosecuted here in this House, Honorable Speaker. The Public Accounts Committee of this House has given the EACC some cases that are open and shut. You do not require to be a rocket scientist, Honorable Speaker, to act on some of the issues, Honorable Speaker. And I want to just give one demonstration. With tremendous respect, the Senator for Nyamira, Senior Counsel, Okongo Eric Omogeni. Honorable Speaker, last week, and members of the Public Accounts Committee are here, the Governor for Nyamira appeared before us. So in one of the expenditures that had been raised, Honorable Speaker, the Governor for Nyamira paid himself 6 million. He said that it is salary in arrears. When he was caught, and this matter was brought to the EACC, what did the EACC do? Did they prosecute him? No. Did they ask him anything? No. They just told him, we have found you stealing, please return our money, we are very sorry, don't do that again. Is that the kind of body that you are looking for, Honorable Speaker? Is that the kind of body that can come and try to lecture this kind of House, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, we the people of Nyandaro have written to the EACC of a matter that is of the insurance of the members of staff of the Nyandaro County government. Honorable Speaker, the county executive sat at 9 in the morning. They approved that a contract be entered with a certain insurance firm, Honorable Speaker. The same day, that contract was entered. So then the EACC wants to tell us that they require 5 years to look at a matter or to look at a crime that was committed in 3 hours. If it is as easy as committing a crime in 3 hours, why is it very difficult for the EACC to spend 5 years, 9 years, whatever years? Honorable Speaker, if we can be lectured, the people that cannot lecture us shall be the EACC. They have no moral standing of speaking to this house or speaking to any person of this Kenya, of this Republic of Kenya. And Honorable Speaker, I think it is also time that we look at the people that we have had, who have been heading this particular body. I think we have, with tremendous respect, we have tried advocates. We had Justice Ringera. We have tried the professors. We had the other professor, I'm forgetting his name, Rumumba. We have tried bishops from the mainstream churches. We have tried bishops from the mainstream churches. We have tried bishops from the Pentecostal churches, Honorable Speaker. I think it is now time that we try a person of the stature of Omutata to lead the EACC, Honorable Speaker, because we have not seen any tangible action that has been taken by the EACC, Honorable Speaker. So in our fight against corruption, EACC is one body. And since I saw them responding to the members of this house, I think, Honorable Speaker, the fairest thing is that let them come before this house. Let them appear before this whole house, Honorable Speaker, so that we can have that conversation. Let them not answer us on the media. They have been trying to sensationalize and sponsor fake and uninformed propaganda that this house has passed a law on the conflict of interest. That is why the EACC is not working. Honorable Speaker, if an agency, in fact this is what the Genz are saying, if an agency of government can lie, and the people that are supposed to look and chase the liars, why do we need that agency? If it is indeed true, if you are to even take that conversation that they are not acting because we passed that law. That law was passed here on the 31st of May. EACC has been there since 2004. What have they been doing before that law was passed, Honorable Speaker? And I dare say, and my colleagues will bear me witness, there is no law that we have mutilated that have allowed any senator of this house or any public servant to do business with government. There is no law that we have. If anything, we have actually, and we shall demonstrate, because that shall come as a substantive motion, Honorable Speaker. If anything, we have strengthened, and I would dare say that because I have never done business in my own capacity or even my own family with government, and none of the members of this house would have that kind of intention. So it is not time to apportion blames by anybody. The second body that I feel is the weak link in our fight against corruption, Honorable Speaker, it will be the ODPP. And that's another notorious body, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in the case of Nyamira, and allow me to use Nyamira again, 2 people found themselves in the payroll of the Nyamira County government. They were paid a total of 800,000, Honorable Speaker. So when the matter came into the public foray through the area senator and the other people who were charged with oversight the county assembly, the county secretary wrote and said, these people are not our employees. The county public service board wrote and said, these people are not our employees. The payroll manager wrote and said, these people are not our employees. So then there was a case. When the matter was taken to court, Honorable Speaker, I am not an advocate. I am not a lawyer. I have no background in law. But there is something that they said was called no prosecute. If that was the word, Honorable. Non prosecute, if that is the word, Honorable Speaker. And they have no intention of taking these 2 people to court, Honorable Speaker. So what becomes of the money that has been stolen of the people of Nyamira? What becomes of the people? And what we see about them is responding to Senator Sifuna on Twitter. So I actually propose, Honorable Speaker, since they are very willing to engage, let them not engage us on Twitter. Let them come before the whole house of this house, Honorable Speaker, so that we can demonstrate. Let's have a conversation. Don't throw jabs at anybody. We are just telling you the truth. You are a weak link. You have all the evidence. Had the people of Kenya not made noise against the former governor of Migori, called Obado, that guy was almost walking free. Just because he has returned little things here, now the ODPP says that we have now built consensus, just go in peace, never steal again. I mean, Honorable Speaker, if we cannot have an honest conversation with the ODPP, Honorable Speaker, then we shall have lost. There are many other independent offices, many people have spoken about them that we need to look at. There's one body that appeared before us and has appeared before us called the PPRA, Public Procurement Regulatory Authority. In every report that has been laid on the floor of this house, Honorable Speaker, You will never miss a county that has an irregular procurement process, Honorable Speaker. But we have never had, not even one report from the PPRA. In fact, it has to call for the initiation of either the members of the Senate or the members of the public to write to PPRA to tell them that there is something that we are seeing in a certain public entity, Honorable Speaker. These are the bodies that I am calling vestigial. They are not useful. In fact, their usefulness and their utility approaches zero power infinity. We must either do away with them or they must be very, very, very deliberate. Honorable Speaker, our young people have spoken about excesses. And I would dare say, and I'm very sorry to my colleagues who are in this House, Honorable Speaker, when we speak about excesses, we'll start with ourselves, as members of this committee, as members of Parliament, as members of this Senate, before we even go out. We shall believe that this conversation has sunk in the minds of the people in this House. If you are very honest, the day a clerk of your committee will call, you will call a clerk of your committee because you are traveling to Mombasa, and the clerk of your committee will tell you that the only available flight is on economy, and you agree to fly on economy. You not say that you want to fly on the next available business trip, Honorable Speaker, because I don't know about the others, but I will speak for myself. Before I became a member of this House, I want to be very honest to you, Honorable Speaker, I was flying on economy. Why am I very, very special now that I have to travel on business? If there is no business, I cannot travel. To Mombasa here, just a distance of 45 minutes, Honorable Speaker. So it has to start with us, Honorable Speaker. It also amazes me. A governor who was traveling and using one vehicle now has to attend to a funeral using a convoy of 5 vehicles. The lead car has communication officers. The second car has your media. The third car is your lead car. Then your car with a flag. Then a chase car. Then another car with 7. Honorable Speaker, in a rural county like Nyandarua, or a rural county like Homa Bay, or any other county that you are speaking about, you are seeing a governor attending a funeral in a convoy that has sirens. In a county that has never, Honorable Speaker, seen a traffic jam, because I imagine that sirens are either for traffic jam or for ambulances, so that they can. It is this kind of vomiting on the people of Kenya that we are speaking about, and that is what the Genzs are saying. If we cannot stop these kind of excesses, Honorable Speaker, then we shall have failed the people of Kenya, Honorable Speaker. I would dare ask, why is it that when we are elected, we are very close to our people, and you are a governor or a senator of a rural county, like the county that I come from, and you actually think that you now require 8 bodyguards? Why do you require 8 bodyguards? What have you done to your people that you require to be protected with guns? When you are campaigning by yourself. When you have been elected, you require 8 bodyguards to protect you. What are they protecting? What is this thing that you have taken to your people that you don't want your people to access you? That you have to walk into a funeral. You know me, I see people walk into a funeral. A whole tent is now occupied by yourself, your bodyguards, your aides, your communication officer, your advisor. And on this issue of advisors, because I'm very happy that the president has said that they want to cut down on the cost on advisor. You know, advice, in my opinion, should look like a pregnancy. You cannot be losing cases like we have seen in the county government of Meru, and you have a legal advisor. Why do you need him? You have no tangible economic policies that we can see. Why do you require an economic advisor? Honorable Speaker, we have been saying with the matter just this afternoon that the county government of Meru will have to pay 600 million in terms of penalties and what has been awarded by court because they chased an investor from a hotel that is worth 150 million. What are we doing to our people? What are we doing to our people, Honorable Speaker? Why do we need to push this kind of money to the counties, Honorable Speaker? And this money is being spent and being used just like that. Honorable Speaker, in the quest of occupying, if you really want us, the young people, if you want us to fight the corruption, the next place that you must occupy must be the county governments. The next place that you must occupy must be the county governments, Honorable Speaker. The next people that you must visit must be the governors, Honorable Speaker. Finally, because I know my time is running out, there's something that has been mentioned on education, and I want to canvass my thoughts on education, Honorable Speaker. The only thing that, in my opinion, I feel equalizes us in terms of opportunities, Honorable Speaker, would be on education. I would just, and with tremendous respect to the Senator for Siaya, I would just want to use this example, that in 1964, the Vice President of this Republic was Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. In 1964, my own mother, the late Genz, was born then. In September 2022, the son of the Vice President and the son of the peasant woman that was born in 1964 were sworn in this house as senators, both of them. Why? Because the only thing that has equalized us now is education. It is for this reason that we must try and make education as cheap as it can be, Honorable Speaker. I am very persuaded that we must do away with bursaries, Honorable Speaker. Why? Because not everybody is able to access bursaries. You know it, Honorable Speaker. When you allow politicians to be dishing out bursaries, the people that get this money are the same people. Because you campaign for your MCA, you get bursaries. You campaign for your member of parliament, you get bursaries. You campaign for your governor, you get bursaries. Honorable Speaker, at the end of it, when it is the end of the year, one kid is at home because they cannot pay school fees. Another kid is leaving school with an excess because their parents can be able to access bursaries, Honorable Speaker. Bursaries have been made a reserve of the families of politicians, girlfriends of politicians, bimbos that just walk around the politicians, Honorable Speaker. It is, this thing must come to an end, Honorable Speaker. If this money is there, the Senator for Kiambu was able to elucidate here, Honorable Speaker, that we have money in CDF, we have money in county government, we have the governor's kitty, we have money from the ministry. Why don't we amalgamate this money so that the people of Kenya can have access to free education, Honorable Speaker? When the idea of bursaries was born, Honorable Speaker, when the first cohort went out, the one that had Tom Mboya, bursaries were not meant for the brilliant. Bursaries were not meant for anybody else. It was meant for the needy. You do not have necessarily to be brilliant to be needy. You only need to be needy for you to access education. And the only way to access, I feel very good, Honorable Speaker. I dare say in this house, one of the closest in terms of age to the Gen Zs is myself, because I'm young, Honorable Speaker. I feel very proud that Kibaki gave me free education from class 1 to class 8. Many people did not enjoy that privilege, Honorable Speaker. If we were to say that we have listened to the Gen Zs, Honorable Speaker, we must ensure that we make education free. I'm just about to end, Honorable Speaker. The second last thing that I want to say is on opportunities for employment. How do you think young people are feeling when they see a member of parliament, when they see a cabinet secretary dishing out letters to people on opportunities for employment? Is that level playing ground, Honorable Speaker? Why wouldn't our young people feel sad? Why wouldn't they get mad? Why wouldn't they get angry? If they are learned, and because so-and-so is a friend to so-and-so, they're employed, and I will stay for 5 years without having gotten employed, Honorable Speaker. If we want our young people to accept that we are doing anything on employment, we must make this space of employment level playing ground, Honorable Speaker. We say that we have created that % for our young people. What is happening, Honorable Speaker? Old people are walking around with other posts that they have registered with the names of young people. So our young people cannot access, because when you want a contract in the county government, first of all, they ask for 10%. You don't have it. Once you get the 10%, when they are paying you, they ask for another 10%. You don't get paid, your money gets to pending bill, and the money that you are depending on is borrowed money, Honorable Speaker. So it then puts you in a very difficult situation. Finally, Honorable Speaker, and I know it may not be very popular at this time to say, Honorable Speaker, what the people of Kenya are asking, the Agriculture Committee of this House, led by Senator James Murango,
2 minutes to wind up your thoughts.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. They went around this country, Honorable Speaker, because fake fertilizer has been sold to our farmers, Honorable Speaker. Fake fertilizer has been sold to our farmers, Honorable Speaker. Now the committee of this House has gone round. They have invited people here. We even saw them tasting fertilizer here. But 2 months later, they cannot tell us who sold fake fertilizer to the people of Kenya, Honorable Speaker. So what are we doing to our people? And we are calling ourselves the people that have been tasked with the responsibility of playing oversight, Honorable Speaker. Why does it have to take 2 months for you to tell us it is such and such cabinet secretary that sold fake fertilizer to the people of Kenya? Why is it very difficult? And I dare say this, Honorable Speaker. to my dear president, whom I really support. The people of Kenya have given you a blank check. You have now an opportunity, and the people will clap for you, to ensure that you weed out every incompetent cabinet secretary in your government, every incompetent PS in your government. You have an opportunity now. You have an opportunity now to ensure, and I'm very hopeful, Honorable Speaker, because I hear that there was cabinet on Thursday. I'm very hopeful that some people took very nice photos there, because I'm very hopeful they will never get back there, because they are incompetent, they are not able to deliver, and they are just putting back our president, Honorable Speaker. Since the people of Kenya are
is the chairman of McKinsey African Cameroon. Whenever we meet him as young people, he asks us one question: would it have mattered for Africa that you lived? As this debate has been going on, Mr. Speaker, I've wanted to look at the eyes of all the senators of this House, Mr. Speaker, and reflect with that statement that to you, Mr. Speaker, today, to my brothers and sisters who are senators of this House, would it have mattered for Kenya that you lived? And I want to extend that same framing to the President and the Deputy President of this country and ask, would it have mattered that they lived? Because when this particular conflict started, Mr. Speaker, there are people who have taken personal stance. And indeed, these issues are personal. They are personal because when young people talk about going without food, it is personal. They are personal because when women in this country go without medicine in hospitals in the country, they are personal. Mr. Speaker, last week when we were reflecting here, and the Senator of Nairobi, Senator Sifuna, came and talked about the possibility of him having a card for expressway that has 377,000. I imagined what happens to villages that people like Senator Meth or Senator Murango comes from, where we have got dispensaries and hospitals, that you will find that they have got ambulances that don't have fuel in those ambulances. And people in this country, Mr. Speaker, are losing lives for a simple reason: they could not be able to get a fueled ambulance. Mr. Speaker, what is happening to my country today is so sad that it made me reflect in my personal life and my personal journey here. And I wanted, Mr. President, us as members of Parliament, to also reflect on our journey personally to where we are today, because sometimes it's easy to forget that, and then we might end up seeing this notion called Genz as just some young people who are protesting in the streets without having homes where they come from. And within those homes, they have got burdens that they're experiencing, that they're facing, that we might be far removed from. So that even when people are talking about dialogue, we might not be dialoguing about the real issues. Mr. Speaker, in 2003, February the 3rd, my mother got sick in the village. Now, in the village where I come from, Mr. Speaker, we used to be tobacco farmers. And as tobacco farmers, Mr. Speaker, when you don't have the capacity to be able to grow tobacco in your own way and be able to have a number from a company that is called BAT at that time, then you end up depending on somebody else who has got more capacity than you. Now it happened that my family did not have the capacity to be able to grow our own tobacco, Mr. Speaker. So that we were working in what was called then AGOK, to one gentleman that I still owe a lot of respect to, called Joshua Otieno. He was seen as the most successful farmer in our village, Mr. Speaker, because one of the biggest assets that he owned was a bicycle, Mr. Speaker. At that time, my brothers, when we talk about the issue of education, my brothers and sisters in the village at that time were suffering outside our village to be able to get an education. So I found myself as the oldest son and with my sisters, the daughters of my mother, in the village at that time. My mother got sick, and my dad was not in the village as well. He had gone to also seek for a way of supporting the family, Mr. Speaker. When my mother got sick, Mr. Speaker, as young as I was, I did not know how to even ride a bicycle. So I went to Joshua Otieno, who used to be the person who could help us with his bicycle, and told him, help me with your bicycle, I try and get my mother to the hospital. Of course, I could not be able to ride that bicycle, but I carried my mother to the hospital, and between the 3rd and the 12th of that month, Mr. Speaker, I depended on Joshua's bicycle to take my mother to the hospital. She was there to be diagnosed with what they called chronic malaria. And on 12th in the morning, when we went to the hospital, the doctor told me that your mother cannot be treated here because this chronic malaria can only be treated in referral hospital in Migori town. We have the ambulance, but we don't have fuel. Can you be able to go and look for 2,000 shillings so we can take your mother to Migori District Hospital? Of course, I went home. I found my father. When he got home, we didn't have the 2,000 shillings, Mr. Speaker. I will never forget that image, that at 11:48 p.m., I lost my mother. I lost my mother to a simple disease called chronic malaria, and I lost my mother because when we were in the village, getting an ambulance to be fueled was a problem, Mr. Speaker. Today, as we talk about Genzs, some people might see those young people as just people who are crazy and on TikTok and on Facebook and on all these social media spaces, Mr. Speaker. But if you sit with those young people, Mr. Speaker, you will hear of stories that mine could be the most little story of them all, Mr. Speaker. These are stories of young people who have gone to school, come back home, they find their own siblings who they might call millennials or otherwise any generation, Mr. Speaker, who have gone to school, qualified in schools, and cannot be able to make sense of life, Mr. Speaker. You go to these young people's houses, yes, some of them might be successful because their parents are successful. But most of them, Mr. Speaker, if you look at their lives, Mr. Speaker, they are everything to their parents. They are the only hope that their parents have. Mr. Speaker, we might be in this house and we must be privileged to be able to get insurance. But for some of these young people, they are the insurance for their parents. I can tell you for a fact, I've heard with members of this house, that even themselves, when they're in this house, they're the pension for their parents. Their parents did not have anywhere they could be able to build. They are the insurance when their parents are sick. They send their parents medicine at home. And therefore, as we reflect now, Mr. Speaker, one thing that we as a house must acknowledge, and we want to extend this to the President of this country, Mr. Speaker, is then what is the root cause of what we are seeing in the street today in Kenya? The root cause, we know it very well, is economic emptiness and lack of income and jobs for young people in this country, and they're the bulk and majority of this country, Mr. Speaker, and they cannot get income and decent jobs, Mr. Speaker, simply because we have enabled a system where governance in this country cannot allow for capital to reach those young people, Mr. Speaker. We know that in this house, we are supposed to be the oversight authority over what is happening in ministries that all my colleagues, including Methu, just right now spoke about ministries mishandling resources in this country, Mr. Speaker. And we know that even as we try to struggle as much as possible as a country, Mr. Speaker, there is no way government can be able to create adequate jobs for these young people. Adequate jobs can only be created together with adequate income and decent and dignified livelihoods can only be created, Mr. Speaker, when we allow the private sector of this country, Mr. Speaker, to be able to expand and grow. But, Mr. Speaker, what's happening in this country, as a young person who has come to this parliament, what is happening in this country is that we have got serious vested interest in government and governance of this country. So that there is a conspiracy between the executive of this country and the parliament of this country that when budgets are being done, when finance bills are being done, leaders are conspiring so that they can be able to do business in the budget and backbone of this country, Mr. Speaker. If there is any solution that is needed in this country, Mr. Speaker, the first that I expect the president to do is actually to audit all the companies in the registrar of companies so that we know who are doing business in this country that are making it impossible for young people in this country to be able to do business. And, Mr. Speaker, if that audit is done, you will see a clear path and a clear, well-crafted path for people in this country to create a country of state-made Kenyans versus self-made Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, where state-made Kenyans are very deliberate about putting into budget money into this in this country that does not even go to the private sector, that only enables people in politics and people in government to be able to accumulate wealth through dubious means and projects that are never done, Mr. Speaker, in all the budgets that we are discussing, Mr. Speaker. As we speak right now, Mr. Speaker, we saw in the last government, under the current president, when he was the deputy president, Mr. Speaker, we saw the passing of what we call GAA, the government advertisement agencies, Mr. Speaker. Now, government advertisement agency made the government to be a particular player and not a regulator in the industry of advertisement in this industry, Mr. Speaker. Where young people can be able to get most jobs in this country, Mr. Speaker, because of the height of what we call technology and digital understanding, Mr. Speaker, is on digital marketing. And, Mr. Speaker, the government is running a lot of money that goes in the pocket of individuals in GAA deals to the extent, Mr. Speaker, that today, even if you look at the mainstream media, Mr. Speaker, and advertisement agencies in this country, Mr. Speaker, they are collapsing because GAA owes them tons of money that people have paid to themselves, and it's not possible for young people to be able to get those opportunities. If you look, Mr. Speaker, for instance, national media is going to fire, actually has fired 180 young people. And yes, GAA owes national media 3 billion, Mr. Speaker. If you look at Standard, Mr. Speaker, where young people have been nurtured to the extent that they can be elite digital advertisers, Mr. Speaker,